Okay.
So you have it.
They're willing to.
Good morning to everyone.
Slash trade.
We have a second education speaker this morning.
Oh,
that's
cool.
Darlene Smith is an international award-winning motivational speaker and a veteran professor over 10 years. With background spinning senior retail management and operating 3 care homes. That's awesome. With a background with her. Darlene is also the traveling real estate speaker, trainer, focusing on mindsets, AI, and communication.
Yeah.
She's a 2-time winner of the IEL Award for Real Estate Training and an author. Today, Darlene's presentation will cover effective listening skills, clarity in communication, and the art of asking insightful questions. Darlene believes in lifelong learning and mastering communication is key to personal growth and building meaningful connections. Ladies and gentlemen, Darlene Smith, can't read your mind.
You can go away. Hey, how's it going, folks? Oh, denying.
It worked.
It didn't work?
Yeah, it worked.
Magic, it comes up again, just yell at me. So thank you very much for coming and welcome, everybody. Glad to be here. Hey. Oh, sorry, I was just reading your minds. I see you, Joe. I hope I win. I can read your mind there, Cheryl. She's like, oh, I just want to go to the bathroom. Of course, Miriam's back there. It's a time to eat soon. I know I'm standing in between you and your food. So a couple of people have thought about or think people should read their mind. Show of hands.
Sometimes, yes.
Sometimes we can, sometimes we can't. Well, one of the things is what's going to happen today as I go through some of this, it's going to kind of remember and refresh some of the skills that we know as speakers, as Toastmasters, and also using them in our real life. Now, I don't know about you, but sometimes you slip and don't give the right information. Show of hands? Oh, yes.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know. You're not participating at all. You've got this down pat, right? So how do we stop assuming and start communicating clearly?
Listening.
Listening is something very important. So this here, that's just stuff about me. You don't need to know that. But you do need to know that I do wear many hats. And as variety. Involved a lot in the political life as well. Also run some care homes and some businesses and throughout the years. Also a realtor, right? So I'm licensed that, sell houses and things. It's great. Also speaker and trainer. So one thing have in common, it's communications and it's skills and it's systems, and they all blend together. God forbid I just do one thing, right? It just wouldn't work from there. Now, this is really scary. I mean, if you can read my mind, you would back away slowly is what I'm thinking. Because I'm just like, oh, I gotta get this presentation right as I should be going through this. Oh, we really won't do that. We wish people could, but they can't. So the goal today is just to kind of bring to top of mind some of the skills and some of the communications that we do on a regular basis, whether it's standing on stage or whether it's just sitting at the table or whether it's home with whatever. Communication is what it's all about. And you're going to say, oh yeah, I remember that. Well, that's what you're going to walk away with. And every time you assume, you're going to hear Darlene going, oh yeah, she said, don't be an assumer, but we will. Now, why do we care about communication? Well, of course, we're Toastmasters, right? Right. So all care about communication. We've also lived it. And as I go through some of my live examples, you're thinking, oh, Darlene, you would think after all these years, you've got it down pat. I still make mistakes. Still screw up. How many else still screw up? I shouldn't say screw up and make mistake. Good. You were honest, right? Now, I don't know about you, but I've had some full conversations in my mind, right? And we all do this. I think most of us do. But the person's not even involved. You know, I said a whole bunch of things about Michael. He doesn't have a clue what I said about him, right? They were all nice, Michael, and such. We can all relate to that because that certainly happens on a regular basis. Then what happens is what we say, no matter who it is, right? we kind of filter things through our own experience. Now, this would be an example of where would you like to go on vacation? Now, based on that, which one do you think would actually be me?
On the left.
On the left, on the beach, right? That's my idea. That's my experience of on the beach and everything there. Where some other people, if you ask them the same question, oh, this would probably be like a joke on hike up the mountain and do everything. Two different perspectives, even though we're both enjoying it. And you have that. You all right there and get the water. Don't get choked up about it. You can assume we got it on there. And I'm sure you've had that. You know what? Throughout your life, it's where you think you are respected. These people should be able to read our minds and know what we're thinking. Unfortunately, they what? No, they can't. One of the great things that we do in communications, a great tip, is repeating. Is to what? Repeat. Oh, that was terrible. Is to what?
Repeat.
Repeat, right? Did you ever give somebody instructions? All right, what time is my presentation? 11:25. Where do I park? In the parking lot. Right? We don't assume people know what hotel. We're not at the Crown. Where are we? We're at the Canvas. We're at the Canvas, right? So it's giving those and asking people to repeat back. Does anybody use that on a regular basis? Yeah, it kind of works to see if communications, did they get it? Did they understand? Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, right? Sometimes they're just not what?
Listening.
Not listening or paying attention, right?
Sometimes you're ambiguous in your instructions.
Never, Alan.
Yes,
Never.
you.
Yes, no. Wait till I show you some of my limited vague language, right? We use vague language. What happens? We don't get the outcome. So someone said for him to take a picture. Well, like take a picture of what? Right? Is it the windows? Is it the door? Is it the whole item? We were just too what? Too vague. How many people have done that? It's,
I mean,
no, I know, Alan, we would never use too many words, right? As we go through. You know, someone said, well, listen, I want you to come with me and go painting. What? Well, are we painting a house? Are we painting a boat? Are we painting a picture? What are we painting? Right? So too vague on that. So we need to be specific. Sometimes what happens is we kind of take some shortcuts. Now, one thing is great with texting and all that communications. Now, I don't know about you, but I assume sometimes that when I'm texting to somebody, you should know what we were talking about. It was your last message, even though it was yesterday. Right? Do they understand? No. Pick up where you left off? I think they should. I've already given them the information. And sometimes it's frustrating. For goodness sakes, can you go back and read the message before? So I go back up, I hit that copy button, paste. Here's the same thing I told you, right? Communications. I'm not relating to anybody in the room as such. Scroll up. That's it. Scroll up. There's a good one, right? Scroll up. I don't know if that's happened to you. Yeah, we do it, right? So I just assume that they should have known, but they don't. So we just type it in and we never go back. So we never pick up where we left off on a regular basis. You know, some of the things that we look is don't assume what we know. We all still assume. It's just one of those things we just like to do, right? I'm good either way. What kind of answer does I give, right? You know, we're going out to dinner or we're staying home. I'm good either way. So then you end up sitting at 8 o'clock eating a bowl of cereal. Well, that's not quite what I meant, right? Good everywhere. I'm sure that hasn't happened to you as all, right? Put it there. So what I want you to do is I just want you to put my bag in your room. Well, where do you put it? Do you put it by the door? Do you put it in the bathtub? You know, don't put it in the toilet because that's the computer right there, right? Let me give you specific instructions in there. And it's confused talk. Sometimes we are just confusing people when we're doing communications, and we're great communicators, right?
Right.
Because we are
Toastmasters.
Toastmasters. I love it. You guys are getting the hang of this. Woo-hoo. Well, people can't read our minds. Why? Well, if you want to be understood, you must be intentional. And then sometimes we don't. You must be specific. You must be what? Specific. And sometimes a little repetitive. Specific is one of the most important factors in there. Now, sometimes do we get lazy and we want to leave out words? Do we just want to use shortcuts and typing or something? Oh, yes, we certainly do that. One of the great things now these days is to understanding communications is show and tell. How many people like show and tell? Right? Because you're going to show them what you want to be easier communications. Here's an example. One dolphin is showing the other dolphin what to do. And that is sometimes the easiest way. So that's a great tip. What's great with the cell phones now is that you can snap pictures if you want to show something. It is great. In a minute, I'll explain some situations in the political world that just happened in Canada here. We just had a national election. I was organizing a campaign, and I'm like, I'm supposed to be experienced and a good communicator. Let me wait till you hear some things that happen. Well, yeah, if you're all aware, we put out lawn signs. And I just assumed, was that wrong with me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In retrospect, probably.
Probably, it's so it's pretty simple. The person putting a lawn sign on your lawn is to put it by the road so you can see it. Now, to me, that was common sense. Well, let's say that when I went to check, some of them were up by the house. You drive by and you couldn't see the sign. Some of them were turned this way, some of them were turned that way. So it's like, that's poor communications, Darlene. You're a Toastmaster, you should have known better. So then I went out, I took a picture, I took a what? I took a picture of where it is, and I would explain in the future, there's a sidewalk, and we want to have it right next to the sidewalk, so as people drive on by, they can see it. The other thing is that during the voting polls, we couldn't have lawn signs on the voting property, but we could have them driving up. So I sent a couple guys out and said, I want 3 on one side, 3 on the other side. All right, as you go, meaning that you can get it both directions. That's pretty clear, right?
Well, yeah.
Well, I thought it was. So one of them had 6 on one side. Now, I didn't say which direction to turn the sign. So some of them, as you're driving, they should be this way. So as you're driving, you can see it. Now, they were like this way. So these little things can still happen, and you have to go back and switch them. Now, we kind of filter everything through our minds the way we think it. A couple things with that is that they're not you. So Marion is not me. So we have different backgrounds as such, right? We're different ages and different skills. And we have different understanding of what it is all about. So that's one of the things, is understanding that they're not wired like you. They don't have the same map up there. The other thing is shortcuts. Do I have to type this out again? Right? How many people here, show of hands, does that? Right? Yeah, we skip. People don't know how to spell R, and now instead of A-R-E, it's R-U. One of the things also is, right? Poor communications and those skills. But it's the mental map, right? A great tip is to add words to what? Add the words, the specific words that are missing in our communications, whether it be giving speeches, whether it be typing, whether it be emails. Take a little time and save yourself a little aggravation. Less aggravation as new. The same thing with acronyms.
Kind of like filler words.
Filler words, they're not the same thing. Filler words, that's filler words, right? But, 3 p.m. is more specific, right? Or instead of putting 3, put p.m., don't put the a.m. in there. I said, listen, ladies, I'll be right back. I'm going to the ERO. And they're like, the what? Well, God, it's the returning office. Did you guys not know that, right? So again, making those assumptions when we use those acronyms in whatever the location.
Yeah, I always write them out.
You have to, right?
And I go through what I've written, and every pronoun I replace by the proper noun if I can. It just means that I don't have to assume that you were following what I meant.
Right. See, when you get a little older, you've been in Toastmasters for a number of years, then we'll be almost as
Oh, I
good as
did that
that.
before Toastmasters.
Oh, even before, well, That was smarter than the average bear, they say,
What are you doing here?
right? The other thing we look at is different perspective. Now, you're all gonna hear the same, you can come in if you like, ma'am. Oh, she hasn't decided, she's still drinking water. You can hear the same message. But is it filtered through everybody's minds the same?
No.
No, right? It's different perspectives depend. One thing they do is they call an English sheet in the election. It's a very simple sheet to fill out the dates, the times and everything. I won't tell you how many versions, even though they were all trained and given the same information, how many versions there were, right? Well, it's the date, the time, is it when they started the sheet or the end of the sheet? Little details that you seem to be missing. So, great example there, get your different perspectives. Of course, avoid red vague terms like ASAP. What does that mean?
As soon as possible.
As soon as possible. Well, what does that, right? What does it really mean? Give us a
Yesterday.
deadline. Yesterday. Right, but we all use that. Well, I'd like to get that return as soon as possible. Be specific instead of ASAP, 3 p.m. Wednesday. It eliminates all the expectations, makes it very clear on what has to happen. And it also by reducing the assumptions, right? Specific details. And then you can eliminate the frustration and things not being done the proper way. Right? I'm sure you guys are thinking of many examples on how that could happen. And clarity lives in specifics, right? If you give specific details, it gets clear and your communications will be better and you will be less frustrated. And people think you're going to be just as good as Alan in communicating and giving instructions. Right? We go through all of theirs. Now, during the election period, I was looking after the headquarters and I had a tour of a few buildings and one place had furniture, office furniture. Right? And so we found a location. I said, listen, I would like some office furniture. Can you help me out? Well, yeah, sure, Darlene. So what do you need? I need 4 desks. Now, that's what I said. Now, do desks come in different forms? Yes, they do. Now, I was thinking about the desks I seen piled up in the storage, right? Which were something like that with drawers and everything. That was my definition of a desk. Now, some people, I know this is nobody in the room that would have a desk made of boxes, but you could have it as there.
Yeah.
So, what do you think I got?
Tables.
One in the middle there.
Yeah, tables.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, and I asked for 4 desks and the guys are unloading them. And I'm like, those are the desks? Yes, ma'am, those are the desks. I guess I was not clear. I mean, this just happened 2 months ago, so Darlene, smart enough. Now, I did get a little specific in saying I wanted office chairs with wheels. What do you think I got? No, I got office chairs with wheels. I actually did. Now, I also didn't say, don't bring me red seat colored ones. I just thought that was, working with the conservatives, it's blue. I just thought it was, right? I just thought it was normal. And they're loading off the truck with these 4 that have red seats. And I'm like, oh, God. I was specific. I got my wheels, but I never thought about that. And again, we get going and we just don't think, and those things certainly can be happen. One of the things is we look at deadlines, right? We all work on them, right? Can you send it over soon? How long is soon? When is soon? Soon could be anytime, right? Your definition of soon and mine is different, and the same thing, your soon is different. When you look at giving directions, right? You know the way, right? You have to give step by steps. Some people are not so let's say computer illiterate, and some great older people, volunteers, and they were like, Darlene, someone wants a lawn sign, they just sent the email, right? That's great. So, okay, put it on the form, right? Write down their address. Well, we don't have their address. What should I do? So I was like, you hit the reply button. Where's the reply button? I can't make this stuff up. I was like, okay, this button here. What do I say? Can I have your address? Right? So once I realized dealing with different people and their skill levels, that it was need to be specific here can just, hey, just ask for their address. They'll know the rest of the system as you go training. Unfortunately, these are true stories. Expectations. Well, my expectations is I'm a perfectionist, so mine are pretty what? Very high, right? Some people are like, just get it done. So we have different expectations into there, right? You do the best. What is the criteria, tongue gets tough, right? In those areas, and we do that a lot of times. One of the things, even giving speeches, right? Are we clear on what the topic was, what the items are to walk away? Was I clear on what I wanted you guys to walk away with after my presentation? Yeah, what was it? That's right, Alan. Repeat that into English, right? What was some of the,
Well, listening skills.
Yeah.
Be more specific.
I can't read your mind.
Can't read your mind.
can't regret?
I mean, you were very good at the beginning.
And now?
Now it's a little bit foggy.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. No,
I know.
just kidding.
Yeah. Hey, if it matters, then clarify it. If it matters, you gotta clarify it as we move along. So that's particularly there. Assumptions are the term of relationships, right? And they certainly are, right? We assume that, your partner should know better. They should know what you want for dinner. They should know this. You don't have to communicate anymore after how many years? Doesn't quite work that way, does it? Does it, Marion?
No.
No, you think you got them trained and still?
And then he shows me what I'm lacked in his training.
It's nothing to do with his perspective, right? Or you reading his mind, it's your lack of training him into those particular areas.
So that's why you spend so much time in Toastmasters.
Yes.
Yes, he gets away from there. Clear communication isn't magic, it's a what? It is a choice, right? We don't think of it that way, and I was like, okay, right, we kind of got a plan out here, or, here's our communications like this, it's a puzzle and everything is everywhere. A lot of times that is, right? It's just putting it in, putting the pieces together. The biggest problem in communication is the illusion that has taken place, right? And that's so true. And, will we ever be perfect? No. Will we improve? Yes. Sometimes we just have to stop and pause for a second and say, okay, let me try this again. And think about what we're going to communicate, or we're going to write, or what we're going to, tell somebody. These are all things that, do you know these things? Yes. Do you need a reminder? Yes, right? To put it on top of the mind. Whenever you hear the word assume, you're going to be like, oh, that lady again, right? Who's used this one? Yeah, you didn't tell me. Oh, how many times do we hear that? Well, you're supposed to be able to read my mind. And unfortunately, they can't. If they could, then we would be all just sitting here like.
Well, even that's a communication though, isn't it?
It's what?
Even that is a communication, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Yeah, nonverbal communication for going into there, so it isn't enough as much, get trigger happy. So they can also be invisible. It's like Wi-Fi, right? It's everywhere, but it's invisible, but it's a form of communication. Hidden problems, right? Those unexplainable failures. Oh my goodness, that didn't work. They didn't do it right. I showed him before. What did they not understand? And it's those unspoken expectations, which certainly leads to many disappointments, right? So what was your expectations when you thought, read my mind, I want what this lady is talking about, right? So hopefully it doesn't lead to disappointments, will it?
Yeah.
Okay, some of you are still. That's all right, we'll get to the end to going on to that, so guess we better move along. Right, so we want to, some of the key things in clear communications is to assume less, to assume what? Less. Recognize those filters, right, that you have in bias. Be specific, be what? Specific. We're gonna actually add words to our vocabulary when we're communicating. If it matters, be specific and clarify. All right, so important. Ask, don't guess. A lot of times you know, what did you hear when I said that? And that's where we use a lot of people to say repeat. Okay, guys, when I said where to put the lawn signs, when you go to this house, where do you put the lawn signs?
On the side.
By the sidewalk, right? Now, what side of the sidewalk? The part by the road or the part by the lawn itself?
The road.
Part by the road, right, you're correct, Marion, you know, you're where the political sign is supposed to go. Does it matter if it was on the other side? No. And why? And I'm a person with communication explaining why. Well, when people walk by, they can see it. When they drive by, they can see it. Right? So these are all important factors. Did I tell them the first time? No. Should I have?
Yes.
Yes. Did I after that? Yes. Did I take pictures and show them? Yes. Right? Did I make them take a picture and show me where they put the sign?
No.
Yes, I did. I had to. When you got volunteers and new people, right? And I'm like, listen, when you do the first couple, just take a picture of it and send it so we can celebrate, right?
Acknowledge that, and then you get the behavior.
That's right. So I did. So then the next thing I know, 20, ding, 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 I got 20, put 20 signs, you took a picture of everyone. Now I said, take a picture of the first couple. I guess couple meant 20. Again, it's little things, but that's can happen. Unfortunately, these are real life situations, right? One of the things that we look at is we don't walk in their shoes. We don't stand in their shoes and such, right? So clear communication is not magic. It is a choice. And notice that you're like, Darlene, you just repeated that. Yes. Did I do it on purpose?
Yes.
To clarify that, because it's just gonna go in there. Because you have to hear things how many times before you actually remember?
That'd be 5.
5 to 7, okay, between 5 to 7, right? Different filters, right? Depending who you are, you have to have 8, Deborah's 5, Alan,
22.
good girl, yes. You have to say it like you mean it and mean it like you say it, right? That's really how it has to happen. I like that she's watching the whole presentation with the glass outside. I keep waving at her. She's doing a good job.
Is the door locked and she can't get in?
No,
She's supposed to be cold.
no, she's got all of them in there, right? So one of the things is to know how important words are, it's what they actually mean. And some of these that we're gonna eliminate is, oh, that's sure, we've got that one, I'm fine. We'll use that one. Later, okay, I'll see you later. Great. ASAP, we all know about that one. Oh, there's that soon again. We're gonna get there, right? We will have lunch soon, right? Do your best. Hey, what about this one? Bring me a coffee. That isn't her.
Well, do you want to
What kind of coffee? What do you want in it?
Why can't you get yourself?
You got 2 hands. Wow, look at that simple little term and where it went, right? And you are correct. There's so many different versions on that, and we've all done them. Will we do them again?
Yes.
Probably, but at least, you know, for a while, we'll be like, okay, that Darlene, you know, bring her coffee. When you go to the coffee shop, you'll be thinking about me. Right? Can you imagine, right, that people don't have to email 6 times to be clear? That would be kind of cool, wouldn't it? Right? They keep asking questions. People know exactly what you need. Can you imagine a world like that? How much time we would save? Because does it take us more time to communicate afterwards because we didn't do it right the first time?
Yes.
Yeah, it does. A little bit of stress can happen as well. Confusion, we can. No communication, no more shortcuts. Now, there's things that you can use shortcuts in. Is communication one?
Yeah, no.
No.
To a certain degree, right? We can say it, get to the point, but we have to make sure that we include enough words, right? We add a few of those in there. So that's what we're going to be looking at. So kind of your challenge for this week, you need to take a picture of this so you remember, right? So again, show and tell. Give me specific instructions, take out your phone, take a picture of that. Also, too, you can take a picture of me too.
Why?
What's that?
75.
Oh, she can do that, she just waited. I'm thinking about she would. You can check it.
Well, there we go.
All right. Got it? Right, so we're gonna catch the assumptions that are happening through the next week or so. Notice when you expect mind reading. And throughout the rest of the day, let's see how many times you can catch yourself doing that. Celebrate clarity, notice improved results. So we're gonna notice that basically, don't have to repeat that, saves a lot of time. Clarify the message, be specific on what happened, what mattered. Verify understanding, ask what they've heard. Did you notice a few times I've asked you to what? Repeat, right? Why would I do that?
So it gets in your head.
It's in your head, right? What you say. I use two forms of learning. One is speaking, hearing, and also visual, because I'm a visual person, so I like to see it. So I'm gonna hear it, I'm gonna see it, and I'm gonna make you take a picture so that you can remember it. I think we're almost done, so I'm gonna flip through this. Now, this here, I wanna be very clear, very specific that I am a Mickey Mouse fan. Did I accomplish that?
Yes.
All right, give me a hand for that. And I think Deb took most of those pictures. That was actually, that was not a trip. But that is very good. That is a very clear message to remember, right? To go from there. So also too, I'm also a realtor. So you're looking at needing a home sold in the province of New Brunswick. I can help you out there as well. Thank you for communicating what? Clearly. And thank you for not assuming as we go through. So let's embrace that clear communications and ditch those assumptions, and we'll continue to be better communicators, at least for a few hours or for the rest of the weekend. All right, thank you very much, guys. I think my time is finished at 12, right?